So this is CalPADS Fall 1 reporting and certification. And if for no other reason we're going crazy, this will be the last one of the submission cycle or submission season, what have you. So um, we're going to go jump right in. It's 9 o'clock. And we have good energy today, so maybe we might finish a few minutes early. All right, now we can begin. Well, I'm Nathaniel Holmes. If you're unfamiliar with me, a trainer at CSIS. Presenting with me today is Kyron Pagulayan, also a trainer at CSIS. Our master of controls, our DJ, our producer is Marshall Isbell. And you'll see that Matthew Clark and Slyman Ahmed, two of our other trainers here at CSIS, will be providing support via question answering and instruction in the chat box. So the target audience is data coordinators, those of you who do the daily, weekly submissions to CalPADS, specifically those who are new to CalPADS. And then we always welcome other stakeholders. This is reporting and certification, not advanced. Slyman does advanced sessions, and those are really intended for the experienced, more advanced users who need a little instruction, little help. This is more of a well-rounded, more in-depth training. The CalPADS training sequence, from left to right, we have orientation. That's the introductory basics of what CalPADS is. You see a lot of data privacy. Then you have the basic functionality set of courses. So you should be familiar with that. You have data population, how to get the data into CalPADS, the reporting rules, the file specifications. And then once you're familiar with the data population, you have reporting and certification. We talk about the end product, the final CDDs and cert errors, certification process, and the reports. And then on the far right is skill building, where we have trainings that help you utilize the tools like the guided documentation and the guided troubleshooting errors. And we are continuing to build that catalog. So all our trainings have objectives, and of reporting and certification, we want you to be able to identify the data reporting requirements for Fall 1 and establish a network of stakeholders for the local data collection procedures. So basically, we want you to be able to rally the troops, right? This job should not be performed in a silo. Find out who your key stakeholders are, whether they're superintendents, CBOs, program coordinators, and you want them to be available to provide guidance, verify counts on reports, help troubleshoot if you got to find information about individual students. You spearheading this team would be data leadership. We want you to be able to plan a timeline and a schedule that allows you to manage your competing priorities and produce meaningful outcomes. This would be project management. We understand that CalPADS for most of you is not the only responsibility you have. And so while you're managing your CalPADS data, you should come up with your own timeline. We have a deadline and we have a milestone at the end, which we try to give guidance, but ultimately you have to manage the work that you do. And so we find that some of the more successful data coordinators have scheduled out a whole timeline for their LEA. We want you to be able to resolve certification errors and the anomalies related to the Fall 1 data collection using analytical mindfulness. We want you to be able to review the reports for completeness and reasonability. This would be an exercise in critical thinking. A lot of what CalPADS is not spelled out. We have to be able to have the confidence to use critical thinking and make decisions in reporting data, making error corrections, looking at reports and making sense of them. And then you want to be able to approve the reports required for Fall 1 by supporting and connecting stakeholders across the data ecosystem. In doing so, you're going to form alliances between the LEA, the CELPA, the data coordinator, the SEDS data coordinator. This would be building a coalition. Again, we want to emphasize building a data team. If you went to any of Rebecca's trainings that she had, She talked about building a village. This goes back to a network. You need to pull people in by however you can, by guile, by force, but whatever, and to support you in this fall one submission. And then we have expectations, right? We expect you to have attended at some point in time the self-paced trainings. Our self-paced trainings that are available on YouTube and in Bridge are file specific. So you have the SENR, the SINF, the student program, the CELA, and we haven't yet made one for the new special education files. Brandy's been handling the training for that, but that you should understand by file how to get the data in, what data is impacted, and what the dependencies are. We expect you to at some point be familiar with or have attended the Fall One data population live training. And what that is a combination of the self-paced that Matt and Kyron have done for the past couple years, in which we show you the entire process. Is basically this is how you get Fall One done. We begin with the SENR and we finish with the Sprig. It's everything that's coming out of the SIS. Of course, the students with disability data again comes from the SED system, and Brandy and Dominic's team has been handling that training. We want you to have familiarity with the different tools and resources. So using the CSIS LMS, the CSIS resource channel, the YouTube training channel, the CalPADS user manual, other system documentation. You have to be familiar with those. And then you have to have an understanding of how to use these resources, not just where they are, what's inside, right? You have to effectively be able to use the error list to troubleshoot errors. You have to use the user manual to find information, the Fall One mapping guides to identify who should be included on reports. And so let's talk about the agenda for today. That was all introduction, quite lengthy, I know. Then we're going to have an overview, which should go pretty fast. We'll talk about the Fall One data submission, just a recap of what is going on or what you may have already completed. Then student subgroups, Kyron's going to go into in depth. So we submit data for Fall One. Part of this data, a vital part of the data, are the student subgroups that are reported. Kyron's also going to go through the certification process. He's either going to be in test or staging and provide a demonstration. I allow him to do this because it's always troublesome, and he's a good sport. He doesn't complain or make me do it. And then I'll come back and talk about reports and then wrap things up.